Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. I'm Bruce Rivers. I am a criminal defense lawyer, board certified by the National Board of Trial Advocacy and by the State Bar Association of Minnesota as a criminal trial lawyer. That's what I do. I only do criminal defense. And today we're talking about CoachDaGhost's. CoachDaGhost's, a.k.a. Culture Bermudez, is a rapper who was born in Brooklyn. He was born in 1993. Now, he was just recently charged and arrested in Georgia for the murder of Brian Sannon. Now, if you remember, there was a shooting in Brooklyn, New York. And in this shooting, Brian Sannon got shot in the face. And there's another individual and Mr. Bermudez who are the suspects in that crime. So, and another person got grazed on their legs. So what happened was he fled the scene and took off and has been hanging out in Georgia. Now, Mr. Bermudez, like I told you, grew up in New York. He was on parole for another shooting that happened in 2012. So he had been in prison for I think he was released from prison in 2017, and so he was on parole when this happened. So New York police officers went down to Georgia. They found out where he was, and they arrested him, brought him to court, and then extradited him to the Brooklyn District Court. Now, here's the thing. If I'm in another jurisdiction, they can't come get me unless they have a governor's warrant. So in order to extradite somebody, they have to get a governor's warrant. In order to get a governor's warrant, you have to have a warrant for somebody's arrest. You bring it to the governor, they sign it, and then you bring it to the state where the person is, and then they're extradited. They have a hearing in the state where the person is hiding out or whatever they're doing. And then they have a hearing on whether or not you'll be extradited. Sometimes, depending upon whether the case is a serious case or not a serious case. Let's say it's not a very serious case, like a low-level felony or something like that. Sometimes they'll offer you bond, and you can bond out as long as you promise to appear and then update both states where you are. That's a possibility, but not in this case. The only way you can beat an extradition is if you can actually prove you're not the person that they say the warrant is for. That's really the only way you can beat the extradition. So the 99 times out of 100, there's just really no reason to even fight extradition. So you usually waive extradition. And the co-defendant in this case has been in custody since July. Now, if you remember, we did a reaction to a song called Hit List. It's just, and this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. You know, if you look at what's going on here, this guy got out of prison in 2017, ostensibly didn't change anything that he was doing, and then is back in the soup. The charges are murder, attempted murder, and assault. Ostensibly the murder of Brian Sannon, attempted murder for the person whose legs were grazed, and then assault is just a general catch-all because when you use a firearm on somebody, that's a type of assault. And it's really sad because the teens, this kid, this Brian Sannon, was only 17 years old, and CoachDaGhost's is 27. The mother said, "I didn't expect that I would have to come back to see and not see my son. I just don't know why. What did he do to cause this? The last thing I saw of my son was him laying down in a crouched position, covered in a white blanket on the road. I just wanted to hold him," she said. I just wish to see my son right now, and I just want to hold him." That's a crying mother, her only son, gunned down in the streets of New York. It isn't clear as to why this kid was shot. Sometimes in these gang things, the person shot might not have anything to do with anything, and it just might be he's an op because he's in the opposite gang and it might be retaliation. But it's body for body, right? So if Bermudez, CoachDaGhost, shot this kid, guess what? They got him, and and I don't have the criminal complaint, so I don't know what the evidence is against him. But this case is, it's a gun case. So what's the evidence? The evidence is going to, they're going to show that, there's a bullet inside him. I'm assuming they may or may not have a weapon. If they have a weapon, they may or may not have DNA on the weapon. And the other thing that they do sometimes is when you take the bullets out of the magazine, they'll do DNA on those as well, because whoever was handling it had to load it, right? So if the DNA is on the bullets inside that gun, that's a direct link. But it seems to be that they had him as a suspect early on, and then he took off. When you take off from a case, you flee to another jurisdiction. It is used very heavily by the prosecutor as consciousness of guilt. So I don't know what the other evidence is, but the fact that he fled the jurisdiction and went down to Georgia, they can certainly use that. Now, it is interesting when you look at the first line of that song, Hit List. Let's just play a little bit of that right now, just the first line.
If I shot and I miss, I apologize. I done traumatized a lot of guys. We done made a lot of mamas cry.
The line is if I shot and I missed, I apologize. I done traumatized a lot of guys. I made a lot of mamas cry. And now this is coming home to roost. So they're going to have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt a couple things. Now, we don't know who the shooter was. I don't have the information yet as to who the shooter was. But they're going to have to prove either that he was the shooter or that he aided and abetted the shooter. And to aid and abet somebody in a crime, all you have to do is aid, advise, counsel, conspire, or otherwise help them commit the crime. For example, if you're the driver, or if you acquired the weapon, or if you hand the gun to somebody and say, go air the place out. So to aid and abet, you don't have to do that much. But we'll follow this case. He's one of Michael's favorite rappers, and but he was in a gang, and it appears that not much has changed. So we'll follow it, and let's hope the best for everybody. All right. This has been a quick update on CoachDaGhost and his recent criminal charges facing murder, attempted murder, and assault in the murder of Brian Sannon, a 17-year-old boy from Brooklyn. We'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. If you're watching this, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Patreon, follow us on Twitter, subscribe. See you next time.